busy day in the association, man. Probably the most chaotic trade deadline that I've seen in a while. I feel like you can say that every year because it's one thing that the NBA does do. They're really great with the off court storylines, I guess. I just want the games to be a little better, but that's a discussion for another day. And to have a week where the Super Bowl is Super Bowl week and we're sitting up here talking about basketball, pretty much every show's led off of basketball. We're leading this show off of basketball. Let's just get right into it. The trade that really shook the world last night, Kevin Durant to the Phoenix Suns, man. Him and TJ Warren have been traded for Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, who was traded to Milwaukee for 5 second-rounders later on in the day, 4 first-rounders, and a 2028 pick swap. Now, last night I was at Crypto.com Arena, or Staples Center as I still call it, for Kyrie Irving's debut, and we were in the media room waiting for Kyrie to come, which took him about 45 minutes. But, he pulled a Justin Fields last night. It took fucking forever. But as we were waiting, there was somebody behind me. I don't know if it was Vincent Goodwill from Yahoo Sports or my man Darius who was there, who was like, oh, shit. And he's like, KD just went to the Suns. And it was this real pandemonium in the entire media room, man. What's your initial thoughts when you found out about, of course, we text you in the group chat. What's your initial thoughts and how you think this helps both teams?
My initial thoughts were, what? Huh? And then I looked at the deal and I was like, they kept Ayton? And what do you mean they get TJ Warren? Like, you get more? Those were my initial thoughts. Then I actually did, because I was on my way out. So I was walking in, like, I was grabbing people like, yo, did you see shout out my homie Waz, saw Waz. We had we had talked about it. But once I actually like sat down and like got rid of the initial shock, obviously it's a good move. I don't think that this guarantees Phoenix wins a championship, but obviously their odds are much better than it was when they didn't have KD. If I have any questions about the Suns, I guess one, bench. I mean, it's not like they don't have NBA players on the bench. I mean, Damian Lee was leading the league in 3-point percentage. Campaign can play. They picked up Darius Bazley also as well for Saric. They still have Landry Shamet. So like, my one question would be bench, and then also, I mean, you got a whole bunch of old guys like KD is 34, he hasn't been the healthiest. Chris Paul, 38 years old, he hasn't been the healthiest. Devin Booker this year himself hasn't been the healthiest. And then also you do also have 3 heavy isolation players. So I also wonder about their ability to run actual offense at times, and will they just get stuck in just trying to just beat everybody one-on-one? Because I mean, in a lot of games, they can probably actually get away with doing that. But as you get deeper and deeper and deeper, like let's say you get to the finals and you play a team like Boston, who can pretty much guard everything that you want to do, you can't just ISO your way to a championship. So I do have some questions, but I mean, you bring Kevin Durant. I mean, one of the main things I had said about Phoenix for a very long time was they had nobody else besides Chris Paul and Book that could dribble and shoot. Yep. You ain't got that problem now. You went from Mikal Bridges on the wing to Kevin Durant on the wing.
Yeah.
You ain't got the dribble and shoot problem no more at all. Well, I actually assume KD will probably be playing the 4 and Torian Craig will probably be starting at the 3, but still, you ain't got the same problem that you had the day before. And as far as the Nets, one, I think they probably just want to do right by KD.
Yeah,
obviously. I mean, I think, if you want to point fingers in this whole situation, I don't think KD is a person that you're pointing any fingers at. I mean, he did everything you asked of him. He can't help it. He got hurt, but he did everything pretty much that you asked of him. And it is a good deal. I mean, if you look at what they got from you got Bridges, who was, I think, runner-up defensive player of the year last year.
Yep.
You got you got Bridges, you got Cam Johnson, and you have 4 unprotected first-round picks.
Yeah.
And again, like I said,
that's the key right there.
Yes. And again, like I said, you got a whole bunch of old guys. 2029, we don't know if any of them still going to be on that roster. So that 2029 pick might be one of the most valuable in the league in 2029. So, I mean, hey, look, I think with the Nets, it was time that they basically just cut their losses, start over. And that's pretty much what they did. So, I mean, honestly, I like the deal for both teams. Like I said, I don't think this ensures that the Suns are going to be NBA champions, but they do have a whole lot of a better chance than what they had 2 days ago.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. I think it's a both trade for it's a great trade for both parties. I mean, for KD, He's like I said, he's not to blame. I know a lot of people out there. Why are we not blaming KD? He's not to blame. He did his job. The blame is the guy we gonna talk about in a minute. Is his co-star. He's the one who blew all this shit up. But number one, James Harden was visionary. He got out of there quick. That's number one. Number two, yeah, I mean, there's going to be depth issues, I believe, for the Suns. Chris Haynes just said that once Reggie Jackson reached a buyout with the Hornets, that he's probably going to be signing with the Suns. Now, we all know as two people who cover the Clippers, Reggie Jackson is Reggie Jackson, but, that'll be something for the Suns off the bench. But I feel like it's good they have to be the favorites just on paper, but I think we've had to learn over this, I guess, 10 years of the super team era that a lot of this shit don't play out sometimes how it's supposed to go. I mean, outside of the Warriors, which was the super team, which they did win 2 out of 3 and probably could have won 3 in a row if Clay and KD's knee didn't explode. But you have to see it on paper. There's only 28 games left. KD's still hurt right now, so we don't know what he's going to do, when he's coming back. He's going to be reevaluated after All-Star break, so you got that. Like for all the things you just mentioned, you can look at Chris Paul and he pulls a fucking hamstring. So that's something you got to worry about. Is DeAndre Ayton gonna play well? Is Book 100% healthy?
He'll be fine now. You got KD. All is forgiven.
Okay,
He'll be fine now.
But it's not even that. Just even on the court, are they going to use him well? This is something we were talking about 2 years ago in the finals against Giannis and them. So I feel like on paper they should be the favorite, but the West is deep as hell. So there's a lot of teams that's going to be in there, but I do think if KD and all the core can stay healthy, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, especially with a coach as good as Monty Williams. As far as Brooklyn, I know a lot of people's like, well, they should have got a star back. They should have at least got Aiden back. Yeah, probably, but I feel like they just want to start from scratch. I mean, they had every star under the sun these last couple of years with KD and Kyrie and Harden, and it just didn't work out. And they're like, let's just start from scratch and rebuild this how we should have rebuilt this. I don't think they have done a legit rebuild in a long time, because we can even go to 10 years ago and they brought that old-ass KD, Paul Pierce team together. So they've kind of been either floating around or trying to chase a championship for over a decade. This is the first clean rebuild that we're going to see the Suns do in a long ass time. So I think it's just something that they just got to start over. And they have a team where, I feel like in the East, they're going to drop. Obviously, they're going to drop. And that's going to move up some other team. Maybe the Knicks will get up in there. Maybe Miami will go even higher because of, the Nets falling out. But I think it's a good deal for both parties, man. But let's get into the trade that started the whole trade deadline thing. Of course, a week ago, Kyrie Irving demanded a trade from the Brooklyn Nets, which kind of caught everybody by surprise because of how well Brooklyn was playing, how well Kyrie was playing. And Kyrie had actually been silent for a while. But it didn't take long. He got traded Sunday afternoon to the Dallas Mavericks for Spencer Dinwiddie, back in Brooklyn again, Dorian Finney-Smith, a 2029 first rounder, and 2 second rounders in 2027 and 2029. Now, last night was his debut. That was my first time watching Kyrie in person. I can say what I want to say about Kyrie. I always say I don't feel like Kyrie's a bad guy. I never thought that he was a bad guy. I just feel like sometimes in his head, things sound better than they do when it comes out his mouth. I think that's probably just the biggest issue with Kyrie. I don't think he is a terrible person. And in fact, he seemed cool to me yesterday when we was around him. But he is on a basketball court. He is fucking phenomenal. And you can just see offensively just how different that team is going to be. And when you add Luka to that team, yeah, everybody could talk about the defense, and yeah, you miss defense with Dorian Finney-Smith and things like that, but you still got to guard these dudes, and that's going to be hell. I think it's going to be just the compliment that Luka needed, and I even think that the Mavericks are going to be able to play them the same way that LeBron and Kyrie played in Cleveland, because obviously I'm not comparing Luka to LeBron, but Luka's kind of in that model where they can play in the same fashion, and I feel like coaching-wise, if we want to talk about coaches, just is there anybody out there who relates to point guards more than Jason Kidd? And I feel like that's going to be something that's going to help. And, like you said, the picks that the Nets got, they were just able to cut their losses. And if you look at everything the Lakers did, we'll get into that in a minute, it's really just a fuck you to the Lakers that Kyrie's not wearing a Lakers uniform, because obviously there was a way to get Kyrie to Los Angeles. But Joe Tsai and obviously Sean Marks just didn't want to give Kyrie his way like they did with Kevin Durant, man. But that's my view on it. What do you feel about Kyrie going to Dallas?
I actually don't think Kyrie to the Lakers was as realistic as people think it was because, like, I think the deal that they got from Dallas was actually a better deal. Number one, even when you look at everything that they got, I don't think this Nets team is bad. Now, obviously, they aren't going to win a championship, but I don't think they was going to win a championship regardless.
Yeah.
Like, they could have had KD and Kyrie on the court and still lost to Cleveland. It could have happened. So I don't think they was going to win. I mean, even then when you look at, Dorian Finney-Smith, you got Finney-Smith, Claxton, and Lord Jesus, if Ben Simmons can at least guard somebody, just at least if he could at least just guard somebody, you actually have a very solid front line defense. That's a pretty good front line defense. You add that with Mikal, with Spencer, I think they can at least, still make the playoffs, maybe, and at least have an interesting series with some. They won't win, but at least they can have an interesting. They'll probably still get swept or maybe win one game and have an interesting series. As far as Dallas goes, there is no. I think Kyrie got a better chance of winning a ring in Dallas than what he even had in Brooklyn. If you look at it, I mean, number one, when you look at the West, who finna guard them two?
Yeah,
like Luka, like okay, we look at the Clippers, right? He took the Clippers to 7 by himself. He had by himself.
You went to the conference finals with Jalen Brunson.
Shout out Jalen Brunson doing his thing. Shout out Dewey doing his thing. That is not Kyrie Irving. And they went 6 games with it was 6 games with the Warriors, right? 5 or 6.
Yep. It was
6.
It was 5.
And the only reason why it kept going, they never got cooked. It just happened was Luka had to do a little bit too much.
Well, the closing game they got cooked. Game 5 they got cooked.
Yeah. Game 5 they got cooked, but the other 4 games they didn't really get cooked. So I mean, you add Kyrie Irving in this, and then also I think it takes a lot of weight off Luka's shoulders. I also think it'll help preserve his career some because he had to do a whole lot. And also, I think Kyrie Irving isn't a person who I don't think can't granted, obviously, he has, size issues, and sometimes you can only do what you can do. But at least he competes defensively. You don't see people just like Kyrie just letting people walk by him.
No, he was trying yesterday. Now he got cooked by PG.
He got cooked. But he tried. Like it was possessions where Kyrie was actually Kawhi's defender. It looked like it was on purpose. So again, Kawhi will at least.
That's also why Kawhi had that 14-point third quarter. But.
It is. But Kyrie would at least compete defensively, and Luka, the man's still 6'8". The man can still rebound. I just think a lot of Luka's defensive issues was the fact that, bro, if I gotta go out here, pass the ball around to everybody, and score 35, and get 10 rebounds, and you want me to guard someone, you have lost your mind. So now I think that Luka has possession where he can get rest. Kyrie obviously is Kyrie. Kyrie can also run offense. Obviously, I don't think you want Kyrie point guarding your team for a whole season. I mean, we've seen how that's gone. Excuse me. We've seen how that's gone. But if Kyrie is your second option, there is no better second option for Luka Doncic and the way Luka Doncic plays than Kyrie Irving.
And I agree that was always the question: who could you pair with Luka?
I actually think I've even said even on Hoops and Brews, the only person you could pair with Luka because of how he plays is Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
Spencer Dinwiddie is kind of in that same mode. Obviously, he's not Kyrie Irving, but he was kind of in that same mode. And the last thing I'll say is both of those guys, if I'm not mistaken, are top 5 in isolation points.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
So whatever team playing them, lace your shoes up, brother. Lace your shoes up. All I would say is lace your shoes up.
Lace your shoes up and guard 3-point line. Because you get, Green, Reggie Bullock, Theo Pinson, they was banging hella threes last night.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you're going to have to give them dudes start hitting threes, then shit. All right. God bless. But I do think it's a good move. And I don't think, we can't ever say if Kyrie going to act up or not. But Kyrie also is trying to get a contract. So I do think Kyrie will be on the smooth and narrow, at least in the time being. And then, you only got 20-something games left. When you get into playoffs, the Western Conference is going to be a fucking bloodbath. I don't think there's really, of course we say Phoenix the favorite, but everybody's got a chance, man. But let's get to the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, both Los Angeles teams made a lot of moves over these last 24 hours. We'll get to the Clippers later on, but let's start with the Lakers. The Lakers have finally offloaded Russell Westbrook, man, after all of the, just a bad fit since he got here 2 years ago. The whole thing with it, the whole, him getting into it with Darvin Ham. They said they had a little altercation on Tuesday during LeBron's record-setting night, and they said that's probably why AD looked disinterested on the bench, which I thought people were making way too much out of that video. with him being on the bench where LeBron broke the record. But I don't
He
know
was
where it's
losing.
going to hit.
He
Huh?
was losing. Oh
Yeah, they
yeah,
were losing the game too.
he said he was
Which a
losing
lot of
the
people
game.
forget. But with that, they finally offload him. They trade him to in a 3-team deal. The Lakers are getting D'Angelo Russell back as a Los Angeles Laker. Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt are all Lakers. Russell Westbrook and a first rounder go to Utah, and of course Russell Westbrook will reach the buyout agreement with the Utah Jazz. And Chris Haynes said that he is going to weigh all options. He's going to take a couple days. There's 3 teams that are interested, which is the Miami Heat, the Chicago Bulls, and the Los Angeles Clippers. But Paul George has been recruiting Russell Westbrook, and the Clippers have 0 point guard on their roster. So if I had to guess, all signs point to him not even leaving his hometown and just going down the hallway to the Clippers. So first rounder goes to Utah with Russell Westbrook. Mike Conley in the second rounder go to Minnesota. Another deal the Lakers made, Thomas Bryant to the Denver Nuggets for Davon Reed and 3 second rounders. This one was a weird one because I was like, why the hell would they trade him? But apparently, according to Chris Haynes, Ramona Shelburne, he asked for a trade. Now I understand we in the playing empowerment era, but we need to get some goddamn ground rules here. Like
As if he's gonna play over Jokic.
Yeah, all right. You're gonna get a lot of minutes.
You're gonna get a lot of playing time now, guy. You're gonna get so much playing time over Jokic. Okay.
Exactly. You couldn't get over Anthony Davis. How about with the best big man in the NBA?
All
the
right.
2-time defending MVP. But he's in Denver now. The Lakers get some picks back. And the last deal of the day, which is hilarious because Pat Bev tweeted, man, Shams in his bag or some shit like that. And they sent my man to Orlando for Mo Bamba, which I think is a really great deal for them. Mo Bamba was ready to get the fuck up out of Orlando as he posted that picture of him with his movers, which had me dying. On his Instagram. And obviously, Pat Bev didn't check in with Austin Rivers because he is going to be bought out, and the rumor is he will be going back to Minnesota, man. I think these are all good moves for the Lakers. I think this team is much better than they were 24 hours ago. Problem being, this is a deal that probably should have happened a month ago. There's only 27 games left for the Lakers. LeBron's not playing tonight. They're playing against the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm gonna, I guess they're gonna lose this one. They have to play basically borderline perfect. They're 2 games out of the last play-in spot, and they're about 5 games out of the 6th spot to make the playoffs. They have the toughest remaining schedule out of anybody in the NBA. They have to play borderline perfect, and need some teams in front of them to lose. But I do think it's a good trades, all 3 of them. I think that Rob Pelinka finally did his fucking job. And if you're the Lakers, you just want to get a chance to have a 7-game series, because if you have LeBron James in a 7-game series, you give yourself a fighting chance, man. But what do you think about what the Lakers did?
I think what the Lakers did was great. The issue is they about to be 6 games under 500,
right?
20-some games left. But I do like the moves they did. I probably think my favorite pickup obviously D'Lo is deal, but probably Jared Vanderbilt probably is one of my favorite pickups that they got. He's just a very versatile defender. He can, like, he was playing center in Utah. He can pretty much switch on pretty much whatever position you want. And I think the main issue with the Lakers over the past, I guess, 2 to 3 months has been defense. I mean, somehow they've been scoring points. I mean, Bron's averaging 30. You got AD averaging 30. That's 60 points right there, babe. Well, he's not averaging 30, but he will put up 30 on any given day. That's 60 points right there. So they're gonna. Even Russ, he was giving you 17, 18. It's almost 80 points. So like scoring wasn't the issue, but they were also giving up like 120 points a night. So Jared Vanderbilt should help with that. You pray that. Yeah, Bamba. I mean, again, you could put up you could realistically put, like, if you want to get like really weird, you could do like LeBron, Rudy, Vanderbilt, Bamba, and AD on the court all at one time if you want to do things like that. But I look at it even further, even like past this. Number one, look at the ages of the guys. They finally got some young guys. In there. Obviously, they don't have picks, so you have to like do your best navigating to find young guys, which they have found now. And also, if you look at the contracts for these guys, obviously D'Lo runs out this year. D'Lo was at $31 million. I'm assuming D'Lo is not getting another max contract. I would probably assume D'Lo will probably be around more like $21, $22 million. So that's a guy that maybe, you see how it works throughout the rest of the year. If it doesn't work out, you don't retain him. If it does, maybe you can retain him on like $18 million. Malik Beasley, he also has a team option at $16 million for next year. If he plays great, pick it up. If he plays bad, decline it. Or maybe you decline it and re-sign him because, again, it is LA. If you re-sign it maybe for 2 years and you play well in LA, look at Malik Monk, a guy he came, played well in LA, set himself up to get,
Sacramento.
I think a 2-year deal from Sacramento. So even past this year, I think next year it'll even help them. Vanderbilt is on contract at $4 million for 2 years. So I think that I think that this deal is like kind of like Lakers free agency next summer as well as like the trade deadline.
Kind of
Because I
like the
think,
Norman Powell deal last year for the Clippers. Like it was
yeah,
something that was going to impact this year.
yeah. Like I think it can help this year, but I definitely think next year it can help even more. But yeah, I like what they did. Like I said, it's just they're 5 games below 500 right now. They're gonna be 6 because they're gonna lose. I knew LeBron wasn't gonna play, by the way. As soon as I saw LeBron in the club singing that Future song, I'm like, oh yeah,
I was like, yeah,
he's
he's
not
not
playing.
playing Thursday. Yeah,
He's not playing. So
hangovers at 38. I can only imagine how long that
he's not
lasts.
playing.
Yeah.
So they're going to be 6 games under 500. Then they got the Warriors coming in after that, and they got somebody else coming in after the Warriors, who Blazers. So they could realistically lose all of those games.
Yeah, then they play the Pelicans next week. Then they play Dallas Mavericks. They got the worst, the toughest schedule. Yeah,
they could lose all of those games.
And the worst part for them was these last 2 losses.
The last
2 teams that are in front of them. Like that was bad.
So
go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was gonna say that just I love the moves, but
I mean, and the thing about like, why I love it is because of Beasley and Vanderbilt and Bamba. I'm straight off D'Lo. Like I understand you had to do what you had to do to get Russ off the books. D'Lo can have a game which is great, but he just is who he is, and we've seen that with every team that he's been on now. I mean, this is a team where the Warriors couldn't wait to get rid of this nigga. Like they were just waiting for the period where they could trade him to get Andrew Wiggins.
I do get the point with D'Lo though, because I think that what they need, like what I think a lot of the issue that you saw, especially in late games, which is why they couldn't win them, was they had nobody to take the shot.
This is true.
You either had to get a 3 or you either had to get to the rim. At least with D'Lo, he's somebody where you can trust him in those situations to hit those shots. Like D'Lo has had a history of hitting game winners or big shots in the pass. He's somebody who, if you give him the ball, let's say you run a pick and roll, he can like get to the mid-range area, pull up, shoot a 3. And he's not really a point guard. He's more of a combo guard.
He's definitely a combo guard.
So if you want to do a thing where you give LeBron the ball all day like it's 2012, you think he can play off ball and he's used to, not necessarily being right in a point guard spot on the floor. So that's why I do like the D'Lo deal. I get it. Again, like you couldn't get Kyrie Irving. Yeah. Not saying Kyrie Irving is D'Angelo Russell. I mean, well, D'Lo is Kyrie because he's not, but he can do.
D'Lo is we got Kyrie Irving at home.
Exactly. Yes.
That's what D'Lo is.
DiGiorno's Kyrie.
DiGiorno's Kyrie. Exactly. That's exactly what D'Lo is, man. But let's go to the other Los Angeles team, the team that we cover, the Clippers, man. The Clippers had to make a move. The Clippers lost last night. Really didn't feel like they had a chance last night. It just felt like a lot of the Clipper home games I've been to this year, where they just like they flirt with coming back into the game, but they never really do. But they had a really good 6-game road trip. They went like 4-2, something like that. They, but in the West, you lose a game. They went from 4th seed, they back in the 6th now. So, but they made a couple deals here today. The Clippers traded the 2024 and 2025 second rounders to the Denver Nuggets for Bones Highland. Then they had a 3-team deal where they sent Luke Kennard to Memphis. Eric Gordon's going to the Clippers, and Danny Green will be going to the Rockets. And then their final deal was they traded Reggie Jackson to Charlotte for Mason Plumlee, which is a backup center for them. And of course, like I said earlier, and it looks like they might be getting Russell Westbrook once he gets the buyout from Utah, man. To me, I like all these moves. Now, this is all pending on if they get Russell Westbrook. If they do sign Russell Westbrook, I think Russell's biggest issue is trying to find a fit for him. But I do think this is a situation where he could fit with the Clippers because they desperately need somebody to get them easier shots. And I'm not one of the people who feel like Russ just stopped being able to play well. I think Russ still plays well. I mean, he had a good game on Tuesday in his last game with the Lakers. It was just a bad fit with LeBron because those both are 2 ball dominant guys. So, and of course, PG and Kawhi are ball dominant, but I feel like it'll be easier to work with those 2. Paul George already has experience playing Russell Westbrook that'll help them, and I feel like Ty Lue will be a good coach for Russ as well. But they had to do something with the rest of the West getting better. Mason Plumlee is a good backup for them. And I really, really like the Eric Gordon signing. I'm glad that Eric Gordon is finally out of Houston. He looked like he was ready to get away from them damn young boys. John Wall was also part of the deal, too. I forgot to mention that. He went to Houston, which had everybody on the timeline laughing, but he is going to get bought out. So he will not be playing a game for the Rockets, and he's going to be in that middling point guard, buyout tier that's going to be happening, man. But what's your thoughts on this for the Clippers?
I probably think the best deal was Mason Plumlee. I mean, I think they desperately. You've been to the game. They desperately need a backup center. Like you just can't run out Rocco at center in the
When
West. Like
Zubac sits down, it's curtains.
Yeah, and also Zubac picks up fouls. Like if Zubac gets in foul trouble, now you have basically nobody back there. You think about some of the guards in the West. If Ja turn the corner and see Rocco back there, we getting a highlight. If Ja turn the corner and see Mason Plumlee back there, we still might get a highlight. But you got to think about this way more. And also Mason Plumlee can generate offense and things of that nature. So I think that's good. As far as Bones Highland goes, he kind of gives you, I guess, what Lou Will gave you a couple years ago. I think he can kind of be like, he can kind of, I guess, be in that vein for you. As far as Eric Gordon, I get the point. I think he's like the same player as Norman Powell, kind of honestly to me. But I mean,
Norman been hooping though.
Yeah, no, yes, exactly. Norm has been hooping, and you got another Norman Powell, I think. And I think the thinking is, I mean, it sucks to see Luke Kennard go because he can shoot so well. But I think the thinking is that you want to make sure you take away all defensive liabilities that could possibly be on the court. And I mean, Eric Gordon is 34. He's a veteran. He's played, conference finals basketball before.
He's a former Clipper too. People forget that.
Yeah, facts. He was, he was averaging 22 with Clippers. He was part of the Chris Paul deal.
Yep. And he might be rejuvenated playing with a contender now.
For sure. So I like it for those reasons. So yeah, I like what they did. I mean, but Plumlee to me was the biggest. Everything else is like, yeah, that's cool, that's great. It's just icing on the cake. But the Plumlee deal literally fulfilled a need to me personally. And as far as the point guard thing goes, I don't think that's. I get it, but I don't think that's now. I get it because they literally don't have one on the roster. But I don't think that's as big of a deal as other people make it out to be, because when it comes down to crunch time, they're not gonna use a point guard like a point guard any fucking way. Kawhi gonna have. I mean, I remember when they got Rondo the ball. They traded for Rondo a couple years ago.
Forgot about Rondo.
Rondo literally did not play point guard the whole time he came here. He came here and stood in the corner. He was shooting spot up threes. So like the point guard thing with the Clippers has always been an extremely overrated concept to me, because they're not going to use their point guards like point guards.
Do you think Russ brings anything to them if he comes?
I guess he could bring what you wanted John Wall to bring, which is grab the ball and run up the court really fast and pass it to somebody. But like, do you like? Yes, he would change their pace. He would give them some transition. But like, do you really need that though? Like, I don't.
It can help.
I don't actually think you need that. Like, I just don't think you need that personally. Again, like, they're gonna let Kawhi and PG ISO a lot and dribble the ball anyway. And also, I love the way Terrence Mann has been playing. I rock without Terrence Mann.
T-Man had like 23 last night.
I rock the way he's been playing. Like, granted, he hasn't been a knockdown shooter, but he's been solid. He's been conducting the offense well. He's been pushing the pace when he has a chance to push the pace. He's also 6'6", so he's big. He can guard. I like what Terrence Mann gives you. So I'm not somebody who's just so gung-ho that I think they just need a point guard. I've never, ever, ever been on that wave. But I like the deals, though.
Yeah, I do think, it would have been a blowout. T-Man had the game he had last week. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting. I do feel like Russ is kind of like on his last leg. Well, if he does come here or any other team, I feel like he's going to. And Russ always gives us all. So I don't want to act like Russ doesn't give us all. By the way, the smear campaign that the Lakers are doing on Russ is very nasty business. Y'all got to stop that shit, man. I think David Minimum said on NBA today that they was like, oh, it was like a vampires out the locker room, like. We haven't heard any complaints about Russ ever being a bad teammate. Like, you can just let him walk and just don't be nasty with that. But there's a lot of other smaller deals. We're not going to go all of them specifically. We're just going to pick which ones we think what's the best out of these smaller deals. Josh Hart to the Knicks. Cam Reddish, Ryan Arcidiacono is another player. I don't know how to pronounce his name. For a protected 2023 first rounder to Portland. Mike Muscala will be a backup center for Boston. He'll be going from OKC to the Celtics for Justin Jackson and 2 future draft picks. Pelicans trade Devontae Graham and 4 second rounders to the Spurs for Josh Richardson. The Raptors trade Kim Birch and a protected 2024 first rounder for 2 future second rounders to the San Antonio Spurs for Jakob Poeltl. Gary Payton 2 is back in Golden State for 5 second rounders. Of course, he was the second 5 second rounders came in a 3-team deal that sent Sadiq Bey to Atlanta and Wiseman to Detroit. And the last one will be the Sixers trade Matisse Thybulle to Portland. Jalen McDaniels is going to Philly, and the Hornets get a 2023 second rounder. So out of the smaller deals, which one do you think is going to be the most impactful?
Well, two things. One, I think the Mike Conley going to Minnesota is great for Minnesota.
Oh yeah.
I think because I never thought D'Lo was the point guard, bro. There was D'Lo. Okay, that time in the playoffs when they lost 2 20-point leads.
Yeah.
Your point guard supposed to not let you lose 2 20-point leads.
They should have beat Memphis.
They should have beat. Mike Conley is not letting you lose 2 20-point leads in the same game. Nope. It's not happening. So I think Mike
Is
Conley.
Karl-Anthony Towns coming back this year, or is he cooked for this year?
I don't know. I think he's coming back at some point.
Yeah, okay.
But I just like Mike Conley, especially next to Anthony Edwards. I think you need more of a passing point guard, more of a table setter next to Anthony Edwards, and also with Rudy Gobert, and and he's played with Rudy and with Cat. I think Mike Conley being there will help them all. Probably out of the trades you just mentioned, I think Josh Hart reunited in New York is great. With Jalen Brunson, his college teammate. Also, that's just that screams Tibbs.
Yeah,
like 100%. Josh Hart, it just screams Tom Thibodeau.
He's definitely a Tibbs player.
He's gonna play him 60 minutes.
Him and Jalen Brunson used to play together in college.
Yeah, like that just screams Tibbs. And then for his sake, the James Wiseman to Detroit. Honestly, I wish it was somewhere else because I love Jalen Durant. And I want Jalen Durant to get as much playing time. And I think he could be like a Dwight Howard type of player. But number one for the Warriors, it saves them $113 million.
Yeah, that's the big part of it, right?
So it really ain't. It's no brainer. I'm not paying $113 million for James Wiseman. Shout out James Wiseman, but I'm not paying that to you when I already got to pay all this extra money as well. And yeah, so
and I was gonna say they said that he will be starting in Detroit.
He'll be starting.
Yeah, he'll be starting.
Yeah,
that's
what, So I like that for him. It just sucked he got picked by the Warriors. Obviously, the Warriors had a different timeline than what he had. But I'm happy that he can go somewhere and get some playing time, and like we can at least see what he got. And Cam Reddish is now with the Blazers. If this does not work in Portland,
stop bringing up Cam Reddish.
Stop. Delete all the high school footage. Delete Anthony Edwards saying Cam Reddish is cold. Delete all the high school footage. And Thybulle going to the Sixers is good. I think you gave this not the Sixers, but Thybulle going to Portland. I mean, you lose GP, but I don't think GP ever really actually fit what the Blazers was doing anyway. He didn't have the same bag. Yeah, like he. I do too, which he didn't have the same impact that he had last year with Golden State. But I think Portland has needed wing defenders for the longest time. And you bring Thybulle, you bring Cam Reddish. Hopefully, he can come in and be more of a 3 and D guy. So I would say those are the deals. The Conley to the Wolves, Wiseman to the Pistons, and then the 2 wings that the Blazers picked up.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Conley as well. I do think that's gonna be something that's gonna help Anthony Edwards tremendously. Like I say, he's already played with Gobert, so there's gonna be a little vet presence there, which a young team can also always needs. But my favorite probably have to be the Josh Hart deal to the Knicks, and I think this is a golden opportunity for the Knicks to take advantage of that top 6 spot that's going to be dropped from the Brooklyn Nets. Now, I don't think the Nets are going to drop all the way out the play-in because, like we said, I think they have a competitive roster enough to where they can stay top 10. I believe it might be 9 or 10, but I believe they'll be in there. But they're definitely going to drop out of the top 6, and I think there's an opportunity for the Knicks to get up in at least that 5 seeds. I feel like Cleveland's going to bump up to 4 now for sure to join Philly and Milwaukee and Boston in the home court aspect. But I really like that. I think it's a good deal for them. It matches with them. There was a rumors there about Zach LaVine, which if anybody I knew them shits wasn't true. Like there was a whole bunch of Bulls fans freaking out on my timeline. There's one thing I know about Jerry Reinsdorf. This motherfucker's cheap. If you think he was going to take a guy who he's paid more than anybody in the history of both franchises he owns and ship him, you got another thing coming. But I think it's a good move for them. And, I like Gary Payton to the Warriors too, but I was hoping they would have got OG Anunoby. That was the rumor. Sham said it looked like that was going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with the Raptors.
Well, they said Masai decided to keep their guys at the last minute. So I don't know how that's going to work during the offseason. We know Fred VanVleet will be a free agent. So I was really shocked that they added, because everybody was acting like the Raptors were gonna break everything up, man. But was there anything you had to say before we get you up out of here, man?
Nah. Yeah,
Are you
I just
guys
think
doing another episode on Who's the Brews, another breakdown? Or
we gonna do a breakdown eventually once I fully get my thoughts together. We gonna do one, but nah, I just think this playoffs will be very, very
yeah,
interesting,
especially
and
the West.
yeah, especially the West. And Ja, are you still good? I
Yeah.
love you, Ja. Are you still good? Are you still good in the West, Ja?
CJ McCollum had one of the best tweets last night. He said all this happened because John said they was good in the West. He got blitz. The Grizzlies got blitz, man. Like